starting with the bottom 1-inch foot and the bottom 1-inch filter frame, snapping them together. If it's a little tight, just give it a little squeeze. Laying the 4 foots down on the floor. Be mindful of your airflow, the orientation you want. With this 1-inch filter frame orientation, I have it where the fan is pulling the air through the filters into the cube space and out through the fan. With the 2-inch filter, I have it oriented the opposite direction, and it requires an extra step that I will show you in the video. Connecting the remainder filter frames. I'm showing you as some of the filter frames will be either tighter or looser depending on how they print. If they are a little looser, you can glue them, but it should not be a problem once you start sliding the filters together. The filters will become easier to slide after each individual filter. Again, be mindful of the orientation. So coming up, I'm going to show you what happens when you're sliding the filters into the frames if they get snagged. All you have to do is just pull the walls back. Since they are 4 connector pieces, they have a couple snag points. All you got to do is just figure out what the snag point is, where it's snagged on the wall, and just pull that back a little bit, and it should slide down easily. Now the top caps, just making sure the male and female connectors connect and snap them in. Then once they're connected, I just go around real quick and start making sure everything's squeezed together. Now for the 2-inch, same thing. Bottom foot, bottom filter frame, push them together. Getting the 4 foots laid out, showing you the flow orientation. So with this 2-inch filter, I don't know if it was a problem with the brand I purchased or if this is an issue with 2-inch filters. Each individual side will not be the exact dimensions as advertised. There's an issue in the warehouse when putting them together. I will show you in the video what I'm talking about, but there is an issue that you need to be mindful of when putting the filters frame together. So same process, putting the remainder frames together. So here it comes. So as you can see here, it's pretty tight, but over on this side, it starts getting a little wider, and it's wider here. That will be an issue a little bit when installing the frames. To compensate for this, make sure the wider side is at the top and the thinner side is at the bottom. If you do the wider side at the bottom, it would be a little more difficult to slide. So just make sure the thinner is going towards the bottom and the thicker is at the top. Just sliding the remaining filters, putting the top caps, making sure the male and female connectors snap in. So coming up is going to be an extra step if you want to make sure you optimize the airflow of your filters. So you have to turn it upside down because where the bottom filter and the 4 side filters connect, there is a leakage point. Here I'm going to use duct tape to address this. So I'm going to tape all 4 sides where the filters are going to leak. When doing this, I make sure I have a little bit of extra duct tape taping onto the foot, each foot, so I can completely seal any potential leakage points that air might escape from. Coming up next is we do the same thing for the fan at the top of the filter frame. So turning it over, putting the fan on top, and now we tape all around the fan to make sure we prevent any potential leakage points that will reduce the optimization of our filtering. So first, I tape the long sides, just going from side to side, just taping the front sides. I have the tape on the fan first, then I curl it over on top of the filter, I tape it onto the filter, then I curl it on the top part of the filter, then onto the side of the fan. You can kind of see what I'm doing here, onto the filter, curling it over, then onto the fan. Making sure the side pieces, when it gets to the curved edge, kind of curves over onto it, making sure it's all nice and tight and sealed. Once all sides have been taped, then I go to each edge and tape those. And then this should completely seal the flow, minimizing and reducing any potential leakage points. Here I'm showing you how it is pulling the air and it's working. Now here comes a 2-inch. Unfortunately, I lost some footage of me doing all this process, but it's basically the same thing. So here's the extra step you have to do if you have the fan oriented where it's pushing the air into the cube space and out through the filters. Here's my funny hand explanation. So the cardboard cutout prevents any air from being pushed back up and escaping through the fan itself, preventing any airflow or reducing the airflow. As you can see here, I'm showing you that it's completely sucking and no air is being pushed back up through the fan.